To make your document accessible, begin by going to the Review tab and clicking on Check Accessibility, which opens the Accessibility Assistant. The first error you see here is contrast, but the first slide doesn't actually have a contrast issue, and the second one is a low contrast example, and therefore should show low contrast. Click the back arrow to get back to the Accessibility Assistant. Because this image is more or less described in the text above, I am going to mark this one as decorative. For this next one, my description is more detailed because it is reading the actual errors in the document. Because the description for this image is already on the slide, I marked it as decorative. To open the Accessibility Assistant, click the top right icon in the pane. This image is also described in the text, so it's decorative. For the reading order pane, I listed out everything because the contents of the reading order pane is not already covered in the text. For the purpose of this educational document, I thought it was important to provide as much detail as possible, rather than just naming this the reading order pane. This is a tricky slide because I am trying to show how to remediate a slide deck, and I have arrows on the slide that I normally wouldn't have. They are really just for visual effect. I need to bundle the arrows into one image and group it with the reading order pane so I can describe it as a whole. Ctrl-G is the shortcut for grouping elements on a slide. This slide is similar, and so I am again grouping the arrows on the slide with the reading order pane so I can describe it as a whole. Ctrl-G is the shortcut for grouping elements on a slide. The contrast between this slide and the previous slide is that the arrows are now in a nice formation rather than crisscrossing the page. This animated GIF shows arrows following the contents of a slide that does not follow the correct reading order. The locations of the arrows are somewhat random and follow to the order in which they were placed onto the slide. On the next slide, the arrows follow a smoother path. This is another case where mark as decorative could have been the better option. For this bundle, I write the alt text on the screenshot as if the arrow is part of the image because I mark the arrow by itself as decorative. This is one way to solve the redundancy of multiple shapes on a slide. I am doing the same thing here. The description goes into the box as if the arrow is part of the image. Rather than describe the image and what is in it, I instead set the image description to what I want the user to do, which is click on the image, so they can view the tutorial. Here I describe the highlight pane because it is not part of the text of the slide. AI likes to add descriptions which may or may not be correct. Remove the portion that says automatically generated so the user doesn't repeatedly hear that as part of their experience. The next error on the Accessibility Assistant is missing slide titles. I can fix those by choosing Set as Slide Title. It asks me to approve the larger font, which I do. I then go back and move the larger font into the white space for both of these slides. The last error to check is reading order. Here I am demonstrating that these 6 boxes for my content menu are out of order, specifically the ones in the bottom row. I can drag the boxes into the correct order, and we're good to go. I hope this short video was helpful for learning how to use the Accessibility Assistant to make corrections on your slide.